Alright, so today we're going to be doing a product review. First one I'm ever going to do, and we're going to be doing a shoe review on the Anthony Van Engelen Pros. I just got done skating these, and we're going to talk a little bit about them because I think they're really awesome shoes. Let's get into it. So throughout this video, I'm just going to be sprinkling little bits of me skating with the shoes just to kind of give you an idea of how they feel, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about what I think of the shoes, how much they cost, if they're worth it, that kind of stuff. I don't do enough switch to really mess up the left shoe, so this one is in pretty good condition considering I skated them for a while. And so this is kind of like the best look I can kind of give you, I guess. I'll put a little picture of a brand new set. This is the older version. I know they just came out with a slightly newer version that is a little bit more money, or it's a different colorway, one or the other. The information on it's kind of all over the place. So I remember sitting in the store, skate shop, and I was looking at these shoes, and I had been looking at these shoes for a couple months. I was really curious on them, and I was really curious because of the sole. It was very grippy, it was very different, it was translucent, obviously. That caught my eye. That's something you don't normally see a whole lot. It has this stabilizer plate thing right here. It's got the stabilizer plate. It's really thin and breathable. It's got this nice toe cap. It's a cup sole. It's awesome, really. It was like, it looked really cool, and I was really interested in them, and I was really interested in the sole specifically. I've been kind of on a shoe madness a little bit, just cause, not so much lately, but like previously I was, because I was rolling my ankle a lot. And I skated a pair of skate highs for the extra ankle support, and I was just trying to get back into the swing of things without really hurting my ankle. And at this point, I was pretty comfortable skating a non-ankle high shoe, a low profile shoe. So I remember after looking at them for a little bit, I was like, you know, they're kind of expensive. I think they retailed for like $85 when I bought them, and these are on sale right now for like 80 bucks, I think. The new versions retail for about 100 bucks. And I was like, they're kind of expensive. It's a skate shoe. Like, I'm gonna skate in it. Is it really worth blowing $100 on a pair of shoes that might last me a week, kind of thing? Because I've done that before. I bought, like, you know, expensive shoes and only had them last me a couple of weeks, maybe a month, and it's time. And that's a bummer, because shoes get really expensive really quick. So a lot of the time I end up just picking up whatever I can find on a deal, because you go through shoes like mad when you skate and you're not sponsored like me. So my first impressions putting these shoes on, I remember, was I was really worried about how low this was. And I know I was saying I was just barely starting to get more comfortable to the point where I felt like I could skate a lower profiled shoe. But I remember these ones were particularly low, because if you look at even the pair of Kyle Walkers, so this is the current pair of Kyle Walkers I am riding right now, and if you notice, the shape of the profile is a little bit taller versus the Anthony Van Engelen's, which are quite a bit lower. So I was initially worried about that, because I was already worried about hurting my ankle. My other like thought initially when I put these on was this shit right here, this mesh stuff on the sides is really, really thin, and I was worried that I was gonna wear a hole in those really quickly, and then I was just gonna start rubbing on my foot, and it was gonna start making me bleed, or going through socks like crazy. The soles were really stiff, and that was interesting, because having a really rigid sole gives you kind of less board feel and less control. But once they broke in real nice. They're nice and flexible, but they're still pretty rigid, especially back here by the stabilizer pad. It's pretty like stiff. You still get really good responses out of them. But other than that, I didn't really have an issue. I was just worried about this mesh stuff. I was curious about the sole. There's tons of protection with the toe cap extending way back. Great protection on the heel. This shoe, very well thought out for sure. It is definitely a very well thought out shoe. So my experience skating with them, I remember initially I was kind of worried, and I just started skating with them, but I ended up really liking them. I thought they were really awesome shoes. Specifically, I remember like heel flips just really worked. Another one that didn't quite work for me was hard flips. Hard flips were kind of weird. Heel flips and hard flips to me really kind of are helped by the shape of your shoe. But I also never really sat down and really tried to figure out what was wrong with the hard flip. I'm just normally very consistent with hard flips, so if it just doesn't work, I typically chalk it up to the shoe and I don't try too hard. So anyway, this is the worn down version. This is the side that I got skated on a lot. I don't use shoe goo. I don't put shoe goo on after the fact. This is what it looks like. The first parts to wear through were here, where this little mesh is, here, where the mesh is, and then the sole. And the reason I stopped skating these was because I wore through the bottom of the sole completely, and I was slipping and sliding around my board, and I didn't really have like a ton of control anymore. And it was just really slick. Like anytime I would try anything, it was like it felt like I was on ice. That's why I stopped skating them. So I talked about heel flips and hard flips specifically, but I did want to note that I noticed these did skate pretty well out of the box. They did take a day to break in fully to what they are at now, but they are out of the box. They skated pretty well, and I skated pretty well. In fact, the first day I skated these, I learned a new trick, and it was a pretty complicated one, and it was a flat trick at that. So, I mean, they skated pretty well out of the box. I didn't have any real discomfort trying anything I normally tried with these shoes on the first day. Even though I tore holes through here very first, I wasn't wearing through socks. I wasn't hitting my foot. This, I think, did a very good job of covering up that area and stretching over. This mesh, I don't know what it's made out of, but it's really, really tough. Also, the board feel with these shoes was really, really good. I think it's just due to the nature of like how thin the mesh material is and the way the sole was, how thin the sole was, and the toe cap and everything. I think it was just very good board feel is what I remember, and I think that's a reason why it skated so well out of the box. And I actually wasn't lost really ever when trying tricks with these shoes. On the subject of durability, I did skate these shoes for about 3 months. I started skating them back in June, and I'm just barely switching it, and today, as of recording this, I do have quite a bit of a buffer on my upload schedule. As of recording this, it is October. I just barely got into October. So about 3 months. And, you know, that's about what a normal skate shoe lasts. But overall, I felt like I skated really well in these for that 3 months, and that was awesome. 3 months is definitely pretty bog standard when it comes to shoes, especially in the skate space. I feel like I'm swapping shoes at least every 3 months. I'm also kind of picky. When I was younger and my parents wouldn't buy me shoes all the time, I used to like shoe goo, duct tape, the whole fucking nine, and I'd skate the same pair of shoes for half a year, maybe longer, until my parents got sick of looking at them and they'd go buy me a new pair of shoes. But ever since I've gotten older and I got my own money and I got my own job, I pretty much just buy shoes or boards or whatever whenever I feel like I need them, because skating is one of those things that it's one of the only things I care about, and it's one of the only things I actually spend money on, so why not? But noticing the wear patterns, it didn't completely sever on the part that usually severs with most shoes for me. This part right here is usually the first part to go. This part lasted very long, which is crazy because the toe is what gave out before the rest of this. This I kind of expected from day one was going to be the first stuff to go, but surprisingly very strong. I remember it taking quite a while to actually pump a hole through these parts. When I'm saying I'm switching shoes every 3 months, I also don't skate every single day of the week due to my job and things that I do. I typically skate most days that I'm off. Well, during this specific 3 month period, I used a lot of my vacation and stuff and I went and I skated quite a bit. I'm talking like 12-hour days to skate, which is what I used to do when I was in like high school, which is crazy. But this did go through some heavy abuse, so if I was skating this under a normal pattern, I probably would have got a little longer out of it, maybe 4 months. But overall, I feel like they're still about as durable as a normal shoe. So just final touches. I feel like the construction was very, very well thought out. The mesh stuff is a lot stronger than it looks, and it took me quite a bit longer to wear through it than I initially thought. The toe cap has got a really good construction. It goes way back. The first part to go was this part, and you can kind of see it on here from the very little bit of switch that I do. I am starting to kind of get that little chunk out in the front, and this is starting to kind of come apart a little bit, but not too bad. I don't do enough switch to really have that matter. And I feel like the sole is kind of the star here, because the sole, it was very rigid and stable, and it broke in really well. It was very grippy and responsive. I think is contributed to by how good of board feel they gave it. It was really good board feel. So overall, do I think the Anthony Van Englands are worth the now $100? I think I'm not dead positive. It could just be different colorways, but they retail for about $100 brand new from like a Van store. I have seen them on sale right now for about 80 bucks at other retailers. Short answer, no. Long answer, it's complicated. I think when it comes to shoes, you're really, especially when you're skating, you're really trying to find that even middle ground between durability and price, because we do go through shoes so much. It's hard to find that middle ground that you can just like not break your wallet while still being able to have shoes that don't hurt your feet or that feel good or that you like to skate in. Due to the durability and the fact that they only lasted me about 3 months, and I gave it the benefit of the doubt and said that it would last about 4 months if I was on like a normal, like what I normally skate kind of schedule. Due to that, I would have to say no, just because for 4 months, like the Kyle Walkers, I believe lasted me, the last pair of Kyle Walkers I had lasted me about 4 months, and they still had life left in them. For me to spend $85 to $100 on a brand new pair of Anthony Van Englands every 3 months, that's quite a chunk of change. Due to the way they skated alone though, I definitely would see myself buying another pair of these in the future, especially if I can get them on sale, because they skated really well. They were really responsive. The sole is awesome. The board feel was great, and they were actually really comfortable to wear just casually. And the more you skated them, it didn't really change a whole lot. And I wore through the bottom of the sole long before somewhere on the rest of the shoe was so beat up I couldn't like use it. Considering you can get a pair of Kyle Walkers, the Kyle Walker 1s are 75 and the Kyle Walker 2s retail for 80. Considering you can get one of those two shoes up to $25 less than the Anthony Van Englands, completely makes it worth it. But I think if you're gonna pay full retail for a pair of Vans and Vans Pros specifically, they're all gonna be very similarly priced. But if you can get a hold of the older Anthony Van Englands for around 80 bucks, what you'd pay for like a pair of Kyle Walkers or Chimas, go for it. I think they're awesome shoes. They skate really well. Anyway, if there's a specific pair of shoes you want me to review, if you don't like this video, let me know down in the comments below. Give me a like, give me a sub. And if you made it to here, you're awesome. And I'll see you in the next one.